Welcome back to Mourad Collective Podcast. Today I want to talk about something different. I'm actually quite excited about this. It's really interesting stuff. It's not a strategy, it's not a tactic, it's a way of thinking and a way of becoming. Um, let's talk a little bit about 2026. It's coming closer. It feels it's coming closer, and the biggest mistake that we make when we think about the future is imagining that our current self is the one who will meet it. But that's not how it works. The version of you that steps into 2026 is built right now, built by thoughts, built by habits, built by choices. So, thought by thought, habit by habit, choice by choice. Today, I want to show you the science behind that, how you can change your brain for 2026 intentionally. So, and why your brain is actually not fixed, why your identity is not permanent, why your habits, discipline, creativity, confidence can be rewired. So, this is called neuroplasticity. This is your brain reshaped by intention. So, today we're going to explore how you can sculpt the 2026 version of yourself starting now. We are walking into a year where the pace of change is faster than ever. AI, creative pressure, digital noise, mental fatigue, social media, platforms. It's all accelerating. It's all changing so fast. The world that changes this fast. So the people who rise are not the most talented, honestly. The people who rise are the most adaptable. Think about your heritage and think about your past. They survived because they were adaptable. They survived because they understood the idea of we are adaptive species. So if I tell you that today, it might not make sense. So how do we make sense out of it and how do we utilize that to our benefit for 2026? Which belongs to the people who can rewire their brain because we are adaptable. Because every challenge next year, every opportunity, every creative dip or leap will require a version of yourself that thinks differently, that doesn't react but responds differently and believes differently. So let's talk about how you build that version. You've been talking about neuroplasticity before. Let's talk about it in a broader sense today. So what is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is the idea that your brain is constantly rewiring. Every thought, every repetition, every moment of focus is physically shaping the connection inside of your brain. Like if I'm a creative just like you, and if this doesn't blow your mind, yeah. So this is proven, neuroscience. So there's this guy or neuroscientist called Jeffrey Schwartz, UCLA neuroscientist. He discovered something really incredible, and he was treating OCD patients, not with drugs and medication and products. He taught them to relabel their thoughts, to redirect their attention, to consciously change the impulses of their mind created. So what happens? He scanned and noticed that the brain scans showed that structural changes. So what does that really mean? So thoughts, which are non-material, invisible, created material, visible change in the brain. So thoughts created visible change in the brain. Invisible thoughts created visible change. Invisible created visible. There is another guy that I also have been following for some time, and his name is Robert Greene. You might have heard about him. He wrote several books, and it's about creativity, acquiring skills, and changing patterns, and he picks up on this idea. Of course, he's a storyteller by default, more by love of what he loves, but he obviously picks up on this idea and explains it beautifully. So he says, your brain is not a fixed identity; it's a pattern of wiring, and wiring can be changed. So meaning you can literally train yourself into a new identity, into a new level of discipline, into a creative mindset, into a new creative mindset. So here it comes. Neurons that fire together, wire together. That means whatever you repeat, good or bad, will strengthen your brain. So your doubts wire in, your excuses wire in, your fears wire in. Now let's flip this. Also, your dreams wire in, your discipline wire in, your curiosity wire in, your courage wires in. So, what is really the question here? The question is not, does it wire? That happens either way. So, the question is, what are you wiring? We have a big chance. We have a huge, huge potential to do this right now and today before 2026 hits. So there's a system that is designed or developed by the neuroscientist, the UCLA neuroscientist Schwartz, and he called this system the 4 steps, and it's one of the most powerful tools to change your identity. So relabel, reframe, refocus, and revalue. So let's start with the first one. Relabel. The name of the thoughts of the behavior. What is that? So what is the name of that thought or that behavior? So you can say, I am procrastinating. Or you can say, I'm doubting myself. Or you can say, this is fear talking. All right. So now we take that and reframe that. This is not who I am. This is just a circuit firing in my brain. Immediate, emotional disconnect or distance. So then we take that and refocus that and shift the attention to a meaningful action for at least 15 minutes. Something productive, something aligns with who you want to become. And over time, your brain learns. So that's when it comes down to revalue, the last step. Oh, that's the old thought, not important anymore. Meaning you weaken that connection and strengthen a new one. This is brain training, repetition, consistency, identity sculpting. I really like that. Identity sculpting. This is how you build your 2026 self. All right, so here's the part that I want you to remember. Your 2026 self already exists. Not in reality, but in potential. So neural pathways that are waiting to be carved, that's where your potential is. There is a version of you who is more focused. There is a version of you who is more disciplined. There is a version of you who's more courage. There's a version of you who's more consistent. There's a version of you who's creative or more creative and more resilient. So this is not fantasy. This is actually a blueprint that you and I can practice. So every time you choose focus over distraction, you carve that blueprint deeper. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you carve that blueprint deeper. Every time you choose creativity over fear, you carve that blueprint deeper. And that is neuroplasticity, the science to become a new one. 2026 is not something you step into, it's something you are building today, right now. So I want to give you a little challenge. Over the next 12 months, I want you to train your brain with intention. If you want more discipline, practice it daily in small ways. We talked about this in previous episodes. If you want more creativity, feed your brain, explore, experiment, make things. If you want more courage, do the thing that scares you, maybe just a little bit every single day. Look, I'm scared of heights. I went skydive. I'm still scared of heights. I go hike mountains, which are pretty high, and sometimes we have to do some things that I really don't like. But honestly, just last week we went for a hike and it was pretty high and people were scared, and I was like, I'm actually not so scared. And that just it just gives you this it just gives you this faithful moment that you can trust yourself and that you can believe that there is a version of you waiting for you that is better than today. If that's not hope, like, your brain will follow. It's designed to follow. It doesn't care whether you are rewiring for weakness or for greatness. Its job is to rewire. So it's just built for whatever you repeat, basically. So choose wisely. That's all what I'm saying. So as we head towards 2026, ask yourself maybe a few questions. I always like to ask questions because that humbles the ego and brings more openness to receiving answers, because we all don't know really. All what we know is what we have, and that's what we practice. So, and there is more, obviously. So who am I becoming? Who am I wiring? Which thoughts am I making stronger? Which identity am I stepping into? Because you're not stuck. Look, you're not fixed. You're not defined by who you were last year, who you were yesterday, who you are now. Like, that's not who you can be. That's not your potential. You are wiring every single second and every thought, by every thought, by every action, by every action. If you decide to take control of that process yourself, 2026 will not be the year that changes you. It will be the year that you change yourself. Your best self isn't waiting for you in the future. You are building it right now.